So now let's try to drop this column and recreate it with the foreign key constraint. So these are the steps that we will need to do. First, drop the column. Then we need to recreate the column. And then we need to add the foreign key constraint. So I want you to do these two steps. Try to drop the column user ID and try to recreate it with the same data type integer. Pause the video and try it yourself. Okay, let's do it together if you haven't done it already. So alter table, DDL course, drop column, and the column name, user ID. This is everything you needed to do. Now to recreate it, alter table, DDL course, add column, user ID, and then we need to specify the data type integer. Now this is everything you need to do. Now I want to link this column to create a foreign key with our users table and ID. Now I will show you here the general syntax. Alter table, DDL course, then you will put add constraint, and here you will need to put a constraint name, and then you will need to put foreign key in our context, and then parentheses, and here you will need to put the column names, which column from your, okay, let me put here the child table. So the child table name, and I will explain what this means. Then you will need to put the column names, what foreign key, what columns should have the foreign key constraint, and then you need to put reference, and then you will put parent table name, and the column name. So who is the parent and who is the child in our relationship? So users are parent and course is our child, you know, because a user can be assigned to multiple courses, and you cannot have courses without users. So here you will need to put the child name. So let me copy this again and put it here. So child table name, which is DDL course. Now the constraint name, you can assign every name, what name you want, but to be more clear, we can put something like users underline course foreign key. Then here you will need to put the column names which you want to attribute the foreign key constraint. In our case, it's user ID. So user ID. And then you will need to put, you need to link this foreign key to the primary key of your parent table. So the parent table is DDL users, and here you will need to put the column name, which is ID, as you see here. Okay, so let's run this command. And as you can see here, I haven't refreshed. If I will refresh this, I should see here a constraint with my my name, users course foreign key. Now let's refresh this. Okay, not in users, but in course. You see here this foreign key constraint. Now let me select everything from DDL course, so it hasn't changed much. But now, for example, select from DDL users. We see here that I have this user with the ID 1. Now, what will happen if I put update DDL course, set user ID with 2? So I will have an error because you can see here it violates the foreign key constraint. So this is just a check to see if our foreign constraint is working. Why? Because behind the scenes, Postgres is querying the user table with the user ID 2 and it doesn't find this. Now, if I put it 1, like this, you will see that it works. So we have these 3 courses are linked to the user ID 1. Now, what will happen if I want to delete or drop the table users? Try to think about it. So let me do this. Drop table users. Okay, DDL. I need to put DDL. You will see that it doesn't work. Why is that? because the table course depends on the table users. As you can see here, cannot drop table users because other objects depend on it. Constraint depend on table DDL users. And here it's giving you a hint, use drop cascade. So if I put like this, it won't work. Okay, let me put it after. You will see it won't work. Why? Because we haven't set the cascade option. The cascade option means that whenever you delete the parent, it should also delete the child. So something you can specify here on cascade delete. So this is basically an option that you are going to a foreign key and you are telling, hey, if the parent is deleted, delete also the child. But if we don't have this, how would we delete this? How would we delete this table? So either we drop the constraint in our course table, or we can drop the table. We can drop the table course, you know, and then we can drop the users table. Now let me just drop the constraint. So how would you drop the constraint in our course table or the table DDL course? And then you can put drop constraint, and then we need to put the name of our constraint like this. And now if I drop this, it will be dropped. As you see here, my table has been dropped. Let me get the columns, okay. And you can see here that the table users doesn't exist anymore, only the table course. But as you see here, the table course still has this column user ID, and it has one, and this is like an inconsistency in data type because this doesn't link to anything. Now this is how you drop a table which other objects depends on it. So that's all.